I was locking the tailgate of my truck when I caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of my eye. I turned, expecting maybe a deer or some stray dog, but what I saw made my hands freeze. A massive brown bear, 15, maybe 20 feet away, just standing there. But she wasn't growling. She wasn't charging. She was shaking. Her fur was matted with mud and something darker. Her chest heaved with each breath. And her eyes, God, her eyes, they weren't wild. They weren't angry. They were pleading. I didn't move. Neither did she. Then I saw what was draped limply over her back. At first, I thought it was part of her, some kind of injury. But then I saw the tiny paw dangle. A cub. It wasn't moving. She let out this sound, half growl, half moan. It wasn't a threat. It was grief. Raw, shaking grief. I stepped back toward the truck, slowly. My mind was racing. This had to be some kind of trick, right? Some trap. But her eyes never left me, and she didn't follow. She knelt, right there in the dirt, lowered herself so gently I could barely believe it. And then, with the most careful motion I've ever seen from a creature so powerful, she nudged the cub off her shoulders and onto the ground. Still no movement. That's when my heart cracked. I'd seen animals die before. I'd worked on farms. I'd had pets. But this was different. She wasn't letting it go. She was giving it to me. I took one hesitant step forward. She didn't react. Another. She watched me with those eyes like melted amber. No hate, no fear, just something that felt desperate. I knelt about 5 feet from the cub. My hands were trembling, but I couldn't stop myself. I had to see, had to know if it was still breathing. I extended a hand. The bear didn't move. I touched the cub's side. Cold, too cold. Then I felt it, barely there. A flutter, a faint, uneven breath. "Oh my God!" I whispered. "You're alive." The mother made a sound again, this time softer, like a sigh wrapped in sorrow. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. All I knew was I couldn't let this baby die. Not after she brought it to me. I slipped off my jacket and wrapped the cub as best I could. It was so light, too light. I stood up slowly. The mother rose too. We just stared at each other. Then, without another sound, she backed up, step by step, into the line of trees behind her. And just like that, she was gone. I stood there, holding this barely breathing bundle of fur in my arms, completely unsure of what came next. But I knew one thing. Couldn't walk away. I didn't have a plan. Not even close. All I had was this tiny, barely breathing cub wrapped in my jacket, and the echo of that mother's eyes still burned into my brain. She didn't attack. She didn't growl. She trusted me, and I couldn't betray that. I opened the truck door with my elbow, slid inside, and gently laid the cub across my lap. The engine roared to life, louder than usual, or maybe it just felt that way. My hands were shaking. It was a 20-minute drive to the nearest vet clinic, but I hit the gas like my own kid's life depended on it. Because in that moment, it kind of felt like it did. The cub didn't move. I kept glancing down, whispering to it like it could hear me. "Stay with me, little one. Just hold on." Every bump in the road felt like too much. I turned the heat up full blast, trying to get warmth into its tiny body. One hand on the wheel, one hand resting gently on its side, feeling for breath. Still there, barely. My mind spun with questions. Was I breaking some law? What would they say at the clinic? Would they even help? Would animal control get involved? Would they try to put the mother down? I shook my head. No time for that. Pulling into the parking lot, I barely threw it into park before jumping out, cradling the cub close. I burst through the clinic doors like a lunatic. "I need help," I shouted. "Please." The receptionist jumped. "Sir, what is?" "It's a bear cub. It's dying. Please, someone." The place went quiet for a second. Then chaos. A woman in scrubs came running. "A bear cub?" she repeated, eyes wide. "Yeah, I found it. No time to explain. It's barely breathing." She took one look and motioned to a back room. "This way. Let's go." I followed, heart hammering. We laid the cub on a stainless steel table. The vet's hands moved fast, checking pulse, temperature, pupils. Another tech came in with oxygen. I stood there, useless, jacket still clutched in my fists. "Where did you find it?" the vet asked, not looking up. "In a field. Its mother brought it to me." That made her glance at me. "Brought it to you?" "Yeah, She put it down in front of me and left, like she knew I could help. The vet looked skeptical for a moment, then turned back to work. Well, you did the right thing, but this little one is in rough shape. Dehydrated, hypothermic, weak pulse. We're going to do what we can. I finally sat down, knees weak. Will it make it? She didn't answer right away. Maybe. I stared at the wall, wondering if the mother was still nearby, wondering if she'd come back, wondering what she was feeling right now, and more than anything, wondering what the hell I had just gotten myself into. The next morning, I was back at the clinic. The cub had made it through the night, barely. The oxygen, fluids, and heat lamp probably gave it a fighting chance, but it still wasn't moving much. They kept it in a back room, away from the noise. When I walked in, the receptionist looked at me like I was some kind of criminal. "We told you yesterday," she said sharply. "We're not licensed to treat wildlife. This is a domestic clinic." I held up my hands. "I know. I'm not asking for anything illegal. I couldn't let it die out there." A man in a white coat stepped into the lobby, mid-40s, graying hair, clearly in charge. He didn't look happy. "Sir, you've put this clinic in a difficult position," he said. "You should have called Wildlife Services." I took a breath. If I had, that cub would be dead right now. He didn't argue, but he didn't say anything else either. Just stood there, arms crossed. That's when the younger vet, Sam, the one who helped me the night before, walked in. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept either. "Doc," he said quietly to his boss. "It's already here. We might as well see this through." The older man gave him a long stare, then sighed. "Your call, but keep it quiet." Sam turned to me. "Come on. I'll show you." We walked back into the exam room. The cub was lying on a blanket, and 4 taped to its tiny leg. Its chest was rising, slowly but steadily. I still closed. "It's stronger than I thought," Sam said. "But it's not out of the woods. Could go either way." I nodded, staring at the little creature. "I can pay whatever it takes." He shook his head. "This isn't about money. It's about time. And luck." There was a long silence. "I need to bring it home," I said finally. "Just until it recovers. Somewhere quiet." He looked at me like I just suggested raising a lion in my living room. "You do realize that's illegal, right?" I sighed. "I don't care. I'll take care of it. I have space. I live outside town. No one has to know." He hesitated, then finally nodded. "We'll keep it one more night. Tomorrow it's yours. But I'm giving you my number. If anything happens, call me. And don't try to feed it anything unless I say so. Deal?" When I left the clinic, the air felt heavy, like something bigger than me was already in motion. On a hunch, I took the long way home. Drove past the edge of the woods, the same spot where I'd first seen her. And there she was, just inside the tree line, watching, still as stone. I pulled over, stepped out slowly. We looked at each other from across the field. No sound, no movement. She knew. I raised a hand, not waving, just acknowledging. She blinked once, then turned and vanished into the trees. I stood there for a long time, unsure why I felt like I had just made a promise. Sam helped me carry the cub to my truck the next morning. He'd rigged up a box lined with blankets and a heat pack. The cub was still breathing, but barely. Its tiny body curled in like it was hiding from the world. "You need to keep it warm and quiet," Sam said. "No noise, no sudden moves, and don't let anyone see it. If word gets out." "I get it," I said, though I wasn't sure I really did. Driving home, I kept one hand on the box, feeling for movement. There wasn't much. Every few minutes, a twitch, a weak breath, but it was enough to keep me going. When I got home, I set the box down in my workshop. It was the warmest room I had, and far from any windows. I turned off the lights and sat on the floor next to it, listening to the slow, fragile breaths. That night was long. I barely moved, just watched, waited, and remembered. My son died 3 years ago, hit by a drunk driver on his way home from a school trip. He was 17. Some wounds never close. They just go quiet for a while. I remember holding him in the hospital, same way I held that cub, wrapped in a blanket, hoping for breath that never came. But this time, I wasn't just a father grieving. I was a man trying to fix something the world had broken. The cub twitched in its sleep. I leaned closer. "You've got to fight," I whispered. "You hear me? You fight." There was no answer, of course, just the rhythm of weak breathing. Hours passed. I thought about calling Sam, but what could he do over the phone? I thought about Wildlife Services, but I knew how that would go. They'd take it, put it down maybe, Or worse, separated from the mother forever. And what about her? Was she still out there? Waiting? Did she think I'd already failed her? The box was so still. I pressed 2 fingers to its side. Nothing. I froze, held my breath, pressed again. Still nothing. I leaned in, panicked now, trying to find any sign of life. I whispered its name, not that it had one, but I needed to say something, anything. Then, a breath, faint, but there. I exhaled so hard I nearly passed out. I don't know how long I sat there after that. Might have been minutes, might have been hours. I just know I didn't sleep. By morning, the cub still hadn't opened its eyes, but it was breathing. That was enough to keep going. Barely.
If you love stories about wildlife rescue, click the subscribe button below. Here's how the button looks on different devices. Every subscription helps spread these stories and raise awareness. The more people know, the more animals get the help they need. And remember, subscribing is completely free. Click subscribe now and join us in protecting wildlife.
It happened sometime around noon. I was half asleep in the workshop chair, still in the same clothes from the night before, when I heard it. A sound so small I wasn't sure it was real. A squeak. I snapped upright and looked into the box. The cub had shifted, just slightly. One paw twitched, then the other. Its tiny mouth opened, and another sound came out. Raspy, weak, but alive. "Hey there," I whispered. "You're still fighting." I grabbed the bottle Sam had given me, filled with a special milk formula. I'd been warming it on a heating pad just in case. Now I held it near the cub's mouth. It didn't latch on right away, just sniffed. But then, slowly, it began to suckle. I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for a year. Feeding it was awkward at first. My hands were too big, his mouth too small. But we figured it out. I wiped the formula from its fur with an old towel and tucked it back in. His body was warmer now. Every few hours, it moved a little more. Blinked once. Made a low noise like a kitten. By the end of the day, it could lift its head. Not for long, but enough. I called Sam. "It's feeding, moving, making noise." He sounded stunned. "That's incredible. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. But remember, don't get too attached." Too late. That evening, I stood at the edge of the woods again. Same place, same time. I held the cub, wrapped in a blanket, against my chest. Not to give it back. Not yet. Just to see if she'd come. And she did. Like she'd been watching the whole time. She stepped out of the trees, slow and cautious, but not afraid. Her eyes locked on mine, then dropped to the cub. Her breathing changed. She made a soft chuffing noise, half a huff, half a whimper. The cub heard it. His head jerked up. Another squeak. Tiny. Urgent. I lowered the bundle, unwrapped it just a little. Let her see. The mother stepped closer, still careful, still watching me. I knelt, set the cub gently on the grass. My hands hovered near in case it rolled or stumbled. The cub tried to crawl. Wobbly, weak, but determined. It moved toward her voice, and she waited. When it reached her front paw, she lowered her head and touched noses with it. The sound she made then, God, I'll never forget it. Not a growl, not a roar, something deeper. Sadness and relief mixed together. She looked at me one more time. I thought maybe she'd take him and leave, but she didn't. She just lay down right there beside us. Close, not touching, just near. I sat with them until it got dark. 3 broken things, resting in silence. It started with a knock on the door. Not the kind of knock you ignore, the kind that's firm, official. I opened it to find 2 men in brown uniforms. Game wardens. One older, built like a tank. The other younger, polite but tense. "Morning," the big one said. "Mind if we come in? What's this about?" I asked, already knowing. "We've had reports," the younger one said. "A large female bear's been spotted near Route 12. Too close to homes. Livestock. People are concerned." I didn't invite them in, but I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. "She hasn't hurt anyone," I said. "Not yet," the older one replied. "But people are scared, and scared people do stupid things." He wasn't wrong. The younger one looked at a notepad. "Says here someone saw her near your property. Any chance you've seen her?" I didn't answer. "Look," the big one said, softening just a little. "We're not trying to cause problems, but if she keeps showing up, we'll have to take action." "What kind of action?" He didn't answer. "She's just looking for her cub," I said. "That's all." She's not aggressive. She's not hunting anyone. Doesn't matter, he said. It's perception. Fear spreads faster than facts. They left without pushing harder, but the message was clear. Keep the bear away or we will. An hour later, I got a call from Sam. You've got company? He asked. They just left. Be careful. I overheard something at the clinic. A rancher said he's putting out traps. That hit me like a gut punch. I looked out the window toward the treeline. They had no idea what they were doing. No idea what kind of pain they were inviting. By dusk, I was back in the woods with the cub in my arms. We sat in the same clearing as before. I waited. She came again, slower this time, like she knew something had shifted. They're coming for you, I said quietly. You need to stay away from the fields, from the roads. I can't protect you out there. She didn't understand the words, obviously, but I swear, she felt the weight of them. The cub nuzzled into my chest. She watched. Then she let out a low, warning grunt. Not at me, toward the dark behind her. I turned. Headlights. Far off. Someone coming. She vanished before I could say another word. Back at home, I locked every door, though I didn't know what I was trying to keep out. The bear? The wardens? The ranchers? No, it was fear. Fear that I was already too deep, that I couldn't fix this. That night, I barely slept. And in the morning, I found something on my porch. A bullet. Just one. Sitting on the step. Message received. The bullet on my porch changed everything. I stared at it for a long time, then picked it up and put it in my pocket. Not as a threat, more like a reminder. A warning that I was officially out of time. Sam showed up that afternoon, unannounced, with a duffel bag and a serious look. I pulled a few strings, he said. There's a rehab center in the northern range. Legit. Quiet. They can take both of them. Will they be safe there? As safe as anywhere. But we have to move them. Now. I didn't hesitate. What do we need? He laid out the plan like he'd rehearsed it. The center was about 70 miles out, deep in protected forestland. But we couldn't go during the day. Too risky. Too many eyes. So we'd leave after dark. We prepped in silence. Sam checked the cub's vitals again. Stronger now, alert, nursing like clockwork. I packed the same blankets, formula, the heating pad. Sam brought a crate, padded and insulated. What about the mother? I asked. He hesitated. You really think she'll follow us? I don't think. I know. Dusk fell. We loaded the cub into the back of Sam's van. Then we drove to the clearing where I'd last seen her. I stepped out, holding one of the cub's blankets. Come on, I whispered. Please. I waited, and she came. Not fast, not loud, just there, as if she'd been waiting all day. She sniffed the air, eyes moving between me and the van. We're taking him somewhere safe, I told her. But you have to trust me one more time. Sam stayed back while I approached her slowly. I laid the blanket on the grass. She stepped forward and pressed her nose into it, then looked back at me. That was it. The moment. We opened the back of the van and left the doors wide. She didn't climb in, not exactly. She followed the crate, lay down beside it. Close enough. We drove without headlights for the first stretch, sticking to back roads. Sam kept glancing in the mirror. I sat beside the crate, hand resting on the cub. Halfway there, we spotted headlights behind us. A pickup, high beams, gaining fast. You think they're following? Sam asked. Drive like they are. We made a sharp turn onto an unmarked logging road. The pickup slowed, unsure, then disappeared. Sam let out a breath. That buys us some time. An hour later, we pulled up to a set of gates. A woman in a green jacket met us with a flashlight. You're the bear people? Yeah, Sam said, and his voice cracked a little. She opened the gate. We carried the crate into a warm, quiet room. There were other animals, hawks, foxes, a moose calf in a pen. The cub stirred at the change in air. The mother stayed outside, pacing. We'll bring her in slowly, the woman said. We've got a separate enclosure. She'll have space. I watched her through the glass, still not sure if we'd done the right thing. But I knew we'd done the only thing. I didn't say goodbye. I just stood there until she lay down next to the fence, her eyes never leaving the crate. I came back a week later. I needed to see them one more time. Not to interfere, just to know they were okay. The rehab center let me in under strict rules. Couldn't get close. No touching. No talking. No eye contact if I could help it. They led me to a shaded walkway overlooking the main enclosure. It was quiet, peaceful. The cub was bigger now, stronger. It ran along the fence line, playful, full of energy. I hardly recognized it. The scraggly, silent thing I'd held in my arms was gone. In its place was a survivor. And the mother, she lay nearby in the sun, eyes half closed, breathing steady. When the cub got too far, she would grunt, and it would come back, circling her like a shadow. She looked up once, right at me, and in that moment, everything stopped. There was no anger, no fear, just peace. I didn't wave. I didn't speak. I just stood there, hands in my pockets, and let her look. Then she blinked slowly, laid her head down, and that was it. Closure doesn't come all at once. Sometimes it's in the silence, in what's not said. Months passed. Seasons changed. Life moved forward. I went back to working on cars, fixing fences, feeding the chickens, the usual. But something in me had shifted. The hole my son left behind, it didn't close, but it didn't ache the same way anymore. Sometimes I'd walk out to the edge of the woods and just stand there, not looking for her, just being. And maybe somehow she was doing the same. A year later, I got a letter, handwritten, from the rehab center. "The cub is thriving," it said. "We plan to release them both this spring. We'll do it deep in the National Preserve, far from people." The mother has remained calm and connected. She never tried to escape. It's like she knew this place was safe. I sat on the porch and read the letter 3 times. Then I put it next to the bullet I'd kept all that time. The one I'd never thrown away. 2 reminders. One of threat, one of hope. They were gone now, off to wherever the wild takes those who survive it. But they didn't leave me empty. They left me with something I didn't know I still had. Purpose. I don't tell many people this story. Some wouldn't believe it. Others wouldn't care. But every now and then, someone will mention seeing a bear and her cub up north. Calm, watchful, like they've been through something. And I just smile, because I know, they made it. And somehow so did I.